University. I used to work at Temple University in Philadelphia, where I did a lot of recruitment, and I was a community liaison for the African American Studies Department there from 1985 to 1995, 10 years. This is days after the Black Panther Party. Prior to that, I had a radio show in Denver, Colorado for 2 years, the Bobby Seale Show, a topical show, a call-in talk show. And prior to that, I worked on Capitol Hill itself. And I was a political writer for Congressman Conyers. And I also worked with the office of Congressman Dellums, Ronald B. Dellums. Ronald B. Dellums is from Oakland, California, from where I am. Today, we have a former Black Panther Party member who used to be one of the leading organizers, along with Fred Hampton of the Chicago, Illinois State Chapter of the Black Panther Party. Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton and Deputy Minister of Defense Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush is now a United States Congressman and has been so for the last, 14, 15, 16 years. There's another Black Panther Party person who worked with the Black Panther Party's United States Congress. Her name is Congresswoman Barbara Lee. She was the black congresswoman back here several years ago who refused to sign the bill. They gave a blank check for Bush to start his war. She was the only one. I mean, I used to work on Capitol Hill. I remember there was 22, 23 black congressional people. You know, I worked with the Black Congressional Caucus and all the others through Congressman Dellums and Conyers. But Barbara Lee knocked me out. When I heard that, I said, wow, Barbara Lee was the only one. So somehow or another, we were both trying to call each other. I'm in Philadelphia. She was out here or there. But anyway, somehow or another, we called. I said, Barbara, what the heck's going on? I said, I ain't got to go out here and get no guns and bodyguard you. I heard these white folks trying to kill you for not signing that bill. They were threatening her. They threatened her life. These racists in this country, some of them, they threatened her and she needs to be killed. And she was the only one of all the representatives who refused to sign it, you know, to refuse to vote for that bill. And that's very interesting, you know, because this day, if you go to Oakland and Berkeley, California, if you understand her politics, if you ever take time to follow what she's about, she's one of the most progressive type of representatives, political representatives, there is to me. Bobby Rush adds to that. I mean, a lot of Black Panther Party members, after the party was over, ran for political office in various local areas all around the country. Michael McGee up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I think for years was a city council representative. Larry Little out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, after the Black Panther Party was over, ran for political office, city council, alderman seat, representative of the predominantly black community area in that particular town of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The same place where they built the Black Panther Party, the same place where they put up the free ambulance program for the people in the community, the same place where they put up the free sickle cell anemia testing, the free breakfast for children programs, the same place. Young black folks like yourself in the 1960s got out there and got in the middle of the streets when this power structure, mayors, politicians, and many, many others were about trying to repress the civil rights protest movement, trying to repress it, beat it back. You know, from Ku Klux Klanners to politicians, this is what was going on. We still hear of cases of police brutality, but I'm here to explain to you that the police brutality you even hear of today, that's on record, that's in the newspapers, is 50 times. It was 50 times worse when we were coming about. And most of it didn't even hit the news. The rampant police brutality and murder in our African American people's communities. This is what was going on. And you could walk through American history, and if you just did hardcore research and look at it, the lynchings and stuff that was going on. Yeah, I was born in Dallas, Texas, and my family wound up moving to California during World War II. By the time I was 8 years of age, I wound up in Berkeley, California, as a young man, being raised as a carpenter. My father owned his own cabinet shop. It was a makeshift type cabinet shop. It wasn't nothing fancy on the streets with a big pretty sign or nothing like that. But he was a master carpenter and a builder, and that's the way he took care of his family, because he did great woodwork. Now, I was lucky. I was lucky because I grew up to be a carpenter. I grew up, wound up in the United States Air Force, and was trained in structural repair of high-performance aircraft, B-52 bombers, F-105s. Those are my days. Top aircraft planes and stuff that I used to work on. Later, I wound up on the Gemini missile program after I left the United States Air Force. Engineering department. Electromagnetic field, black light, non-destruct testing on all engine frames for the Gemini missile program when they were popping the satellites up then, back in those days. I was lucky to come up in a high-tech world. I was lucky to have those skills. I was lucky to be able to go to community college across the street from my house in Oakland, California, at the same time have a full-time job at night and take 9 credit hours in a day as an engineering design major. And I was just a young man growing up, living, existing. We bought a little house there across the street from Merritt College, and I wasn't married or anything. Coming out of the streets one day, I walked across the street. I seen some guys standing on the corner. This was the spring semester of 1962. And there was a street corner rally going on across the street. So I walked out of the area with my big C2 carrying case for my engineering design instruments and board. And I heard these guys talking about the Afro-American Association has come here today to tell it like it is. And 30 or 40 people standing around, some off the curb, etc. And the guy was on the sidewalk walking back and forth with a little bop hip. And that was Marcus Garvey. I had never heard of nobody named Marcus Garvey. Who the heck is Marcus Garvey? And then Brother W.E.B. Du Bois. I had never even heard of these people. I didn't know what this guy was talking about. And as I walked on over and I saw a guy I hadn't seen since I was 16 years old. I says, William Brumfield. Here I was, 26 years of age. I said, William, what's happening? He says, Bobby, how you doing? I said, yeah, what's happening? I said, you part of this? He says, yeah. He says, yeah. I said, the Afro-American Association? He says, yeah, I'm a member. I said, what is this, some kind of communist stuff? He looked at me. He said, Bobby, of all people. I said, what do you mean all people? I said, he used to call you a socialist a long time ago in the village where we live. William, don't you remember that? He said, no, man, Afro-American or African-American. We're not Negroes. We're not colored. We're not Negroes, etc. I speak all of this to explain to you that back in those days, the common terminology and references to us as a people, as human beings, African-American, people of African descent, and so on, etc., hey, it didn't exist back then. It was just breeding. It was just beginning to get budding in the middle of an already ongoing civil rights protest movement. 1962. I had a great job. You know what I mean? I think it was going to be fine. I got myself placed in the high-tech world. I'd already done 4 years United States Air Force, etc., blah, 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 you know? So I'm listening to William. I says, Afro-American. And then he says, who are the Sioux? I said, their name is not the Sioux. You know, Native Americans have been referred to as Sioux. One particular ethnic group of the Native Americans are called the Sioux.